Do you remember thinking that your mom was the meanest mom in the world? I remember feeling and thinking that on numerous occasions growing up, especially during my teenage years. I also remember my mom proudly displaying an excerpt from the Ann Landers column in the newspaper entitled Meanest Mother in the World on the side of the refrigerator. Does anyone else remember that? In today's episode, I'm going to read that excerpt and share just some of the benefits that I now see as an adult and a parent myself, and proudly wearing the badge, meanest mother in the world. But you could also add dad to that, meanest mom or dad, or both in the world, because my dad also played this role. And I don't know, did yours? So, first, here it is, meanest mother from the Ann Landers column. I had the meanest mother in the world. While other kids had candy for breakfast, I had to eat cereal, eggs, and toast. While other kids had soda pop and candy for lunch, I had a sandwich. As you can guess, my dinner was different from other kids' dinners too. My mother insisted on knowing where we were at all times. You'd think we were on a chain gang or something. She had to know who our friends were, where we were going, and she told us when to be home. I am ashamed to admit, but she actually had the nerve to break the child labor law. She made us work. We had to do dishes, make the beds, learn how to cook. That woman must have stayed awake nights thinking up things for us kids to do. She always insisted that we tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. By the time we were teenagers, our life became even more unbearable. No tooting the horn for the girls in the family to come running. She embarrassed us by insisting that the boys come to the door to get us. And I forgot to mention that most of our friends were allowed to date at the mature age of 12 or 13. Our old-fashioned mother refused to let us date until we were 18. She really raised a bunch of squares. None of us kids was ever arrested for shoplifting or busted for dope. And who do we have to thank for that? You're right, our mean mother. I'm trying to raise my children to stand a little straighter and taller, and I'm secretly tickled to pieces when my children call me mean. I thank God for giving me the meanest mother in the world. Our country doesn't need a good 5-cent cigar. It needs more mean mothers like mine. Can you relate to this Ann Landers column? I can very well. Growing up, we had healthy sit down meals as a family every chance we could get. This would often mean eating breakfast and supper together throughout our early childhood, through middle school, and even during our high school days. Breakfast occasionally, most of us was around the table, but mainly it was supper. We were all present for supper. We had chores to do. We did dishes, cleaning, yard work. During my middle and high school years, my parents owned a vending business, and we often had to work there over the weekends if we didn't have like school activities or sports to do. I remember having to wash and wax the vans along with the other household chores that we were responsible for on the weekends. And yeah, we had to tell my parents where we were going, who we were going with, and who else was going to be there. And she told us when to be home. And if my mom didn't think it was necessary or didn't like who was going to be there, especially if there was boys involved, we couldn't go. I was a senior in high school before I went on my first date, and probably only because he was the son of one of their friends. And if it was somebody else, I don't think I would have been allowed to go. But looking back, I am so thankful for having a mean mom and dad. And here are the 5 biggest benefits that I see of having mean parents. The first is discipline and responsibility. Having a parent establish boundaries and rules with expectations of following them has really helped me build respect for authority and to be responsible and accountable for my actions. So, how many of you would say that kids thrive on structure and routine? Well, how about you? Do you thrive on structure and routine? I know many therapists, teachers, and experts understand how important it is for kids and for us as adults to feel safe and secure. We all thrive on structure and routine. We all like life to be predictable. Otherwise, chaos ruins everything. It creates disorder, anxiety, stress, overwhelm that will all run our lives. And it's not fun. It's not fun at all. And living this way causes other issues like mood disorders and behavioral problems. And today, I can say that I can be quite disciplined most of the time. I love my morning routines. I love my daily exercise. I love going for walks. I love sitting down and eating meals with my family. I like having order and structure to my day. And I feel like I'm a pretty responsible adult, knowing that I have the power to control my own thoughts and my behaviors. So, thanks, mom and dad, for teaching me to be disciplined and accountable for my actions. The second benefit I see is strong moral values. Strong moral values build character, they teach right from wrong, and they teach integrity, lots of different things. You just name the values and it's all right there. For us, I see part of it as we had to go to church every Sunday, no matter what. No matter if we were out of town, on vacation, or playing sports, we had to go to church. So this really reinforced the values and morals that they were trying to teach us. And we just got an extra lesson each week by going to church on Sunday. And we were often told no. As I got older, I realized this wasn't meant to be mean, but really to teach life lessons. We don't always get what we want when we want it. Delayed gratification is a good thing. Life isn't fair. Just because your friend got something or was able to do something doesn't mean it's good for you. Like the phrase, if your friend jumped off the bridge, would you do it too? I mean, I don't know. I heard that growing up. It's meant to discourage peer pressure and encourage independent thinking. Just because someone else does something, especially something reckless or foolish, it doesn't mean that you should follow along. We were expected to tell the truth before we were questioned about it. If you didn't, the punishment or consequence was much harder or greater than if you would have told the truth up front. Honesty is the best policy. So thanks, mom and dad, for teaching me good morals and values. The third benefit I find was work ethic. We did chores. We learned how to work, and we did not get paid to do them most of the time. It was expected because we lived in the house, especially chores. We didn't get paid for doing chores. We didn't get an allowance or anything. Maybe some of the things that were extra, maybe those washing the vans at the vending business. Maybe we got paid, but not like physically paid. Like we got the paycheck. I think they kind of paid it into a college fund for us, but it was expected. We were expected to work because we were part of the family and we contributed to the mess in the house. So we did the chores and we had to do them the right way and we had to do them completely. We couldn't just do a half job. There were standards to meet and we were expected to do the best we could do. When you wash the dishes, they had to be clean. Not mostly clean, they had to be all the way clean. When you did the laundry, it meant washing, drying, folding, and putting them away. Not just one of those, it was all of it. Cleaning the house meant picking up, vacuuming, dusting, putting things away, and it also meant cleaning the bathrooms. It meant cleaning the entire house, not just one room. And if it didn't meet the standards, if we didn't do a good enough job, we would have to do it again until it was done right. So thanks, mom and dad, for teaching us to do 100% of the work all the time, not just part of it. The fourth benefit I see is independence and self-sufficiency. We learned all the life skills. Yep, we learned cooking, cleaning, managing money, changing tires, checking the oil of the car, sewing, you name it, yard work, whatever. We learned all the skills necessary to live on our own. We learned how to problem solve and think for ourselves. These are critical skills for living. If we can't think for ourselves, we will wander through life aimless, being influenced by others and easily caught up following the wrong people. Independence and self-sufficiency is the basis for knowing who you are, what you stand for, what you believe about yourself and others. Too many people are searching for themselves in the wrong places. Having a strong sense of self starts with the skills of independence and self-sufficiency. So thanks, Mom and Dad, for these life lessons. The fifth benefit I see is long-term success. Many successful people credit their strict parents for pushing them to achieve more, for not letting them quit when things get hard. And I know I do. I learned how to manage my time, be organized, make good decisions, and set my sights and dreams on something bigger than what was right in front of me. I've also witnessed friends and other peers who didn't have as strict as parents, how they got into the wrong crowd. They made some poor choices. They experimented with addicting substances, which led them down a different path, sometimes a much harder path in life. So thanks, Mom and Dad. I credit you for the successful path that I'm on. Now that I have kids of my own, and I've had kids of my own for a while, but I often remember this Ann Landers column. So when my older kids were going through their teen years, I smiled, inside and out. I know I did when they voiced their dislike about how I was parenting. I know I have told them more than once. I wear the meanest mom in the world badge with pride and honor. I do. If I don't receive this award, I'm not doing my job. This has also been the start of a sentence. I know we are the meanest parents in the world because we want to know where you're at. Because we don't let you have a phone until you start driving. Because you are expected to do chores without getting paid. Because we expect you to go or we make you go to bed at 9 or 9:30. But really, we want them to know we are the meanest parents in the world because we love you and we want the best for you. And we know you will thank us later. So, how about you? Do you wear the meanest mom or dad in the world badge with honor? I would love to hear your meanest mom or dad in the world stories. What have you learned because of growing up with the meanest mom or dad in the world? How are you better off because you had a mom or dad that loved you enough to set boundaries, that held you accountable, that taught you values and morals, that encouraged you to think independently and be self-sufficient, to work hard and to do your best? If your mom or dad is still alive, thank them for a job well done. And if you have kids, how are your kids better off because you are instilling these life benefits in them? I would love to hear your stories.